Hey everyone, I hope everyone's having a great, happy Friday. It is November the 4th, 2022. Amazing stuff. I have a presentation in about 10 minutes. I already gave one, but we got another one coming up. So I thought I'd use this time to kind of prepare in a little bit of ways. And one of the presentations I did recently was about leadership. So this is really good for technology. I got a presentation for a technology company in a little bit, but this is really good for if you're starting out in your career and what you should be doing for leadership skills. Okay. Leaders are uncommon in any organization. That's what makes them leaders. And if you're looking in cybersecurity, tech sales, cybersecurity, software engineering, leadership is going to be a key pillar that you want to start developing. Okay. The number one person that you have to lead is yourself. You have to lead yourself first before you lead an organization or even just one other person. I'm currently building a new sales department, new recruiting department. We got a lot of things going on, but you want to start developing leadership skills, and you're never going to be perfect, but you want to start the process. I had a talk a few days ago with a group of supervisors of a company, and one of the key things that we talked about is leadership skills, communication skills, confidence. In a lot of regards, some of them were feeling a little unconfident. So we went over a few different things. And I made a little bit of a presentation on leadership and some basics, some essentials that can help you in any walk of life, whatever career there is. But I think in the tech world, a lot of people are analytical. They're really good at using their brain, certain ways of presenting. And the people that make it big, especially in cybersecurity or especially tech sales, but are the people that are able to combine the two. They have the hard skills and they have the soft skills. So you want to be very aware of that and be able to use that to your advantage. Keep working on the hard skills that you know are in demand. That's what's going to build your career. You got to know the basics. But the soft skills are what's going to keep you apart from everyone else and get you above faster leading a group. A lot of people who start off as cybersecurity engineers, as soon as they lead a team, cybersecurity manager or project manager or director, you're leading a group and you have to have those essential skills. I deal with some people that come out of the military who already are ingrained in that environment pretty well. And if you're coming from a bachelor's or master's or a boot camp, you want to at least be aware so you can start developing. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. It's the first time I've done the share screen thing. So we're going to see if I can pull this off correctly. Let's see here. I want to share a window. Which one do I want? Yep, leadership presentation, share. Okay, cool. Hope everybody can see that. I can't see myself, so hopefully I'm still in the screenshot here. But talking a little about leadership, and I'm going to try to keep this video more short. Why is leadership important? Practical examples. How can we apply this? This is kind of derivative of a presentation I gave a little earlier. But coming from San Diego, so I live in Oregon now, but I was from San Diego, and I had friends that were going into Navy SEALs, that attempted to do Navy SEALs. I have a few friends that made it into Navy SEALs, and how the Army says, you're not an army of one. You are stronger together than you are apart. They talk about SEALs Team 6, and you learn about the synergy of the team, that you can go farther with the right team than you can on your own. You will go farther. You'll be able to maximize and optimize your lifestyle, your production, but also basically in business, but also just your efforts. We're talking about physical efforts, but a lot of business and leadership comes down to mental toughness. So I always like this thing, looking at teamwork. How do you create that synergy within your team? Okay. So why is leadership important? We talked about that a little bit. But you have to lead yourself first. You have to be the one to kind of slap yourself out of bed. I'm going to get up early from now on. If you want to change certain habits, if you don't like your life right now, you have to change something in your life, right? If you want something you've never had before, you're going to have to be prepared to do things you've never done before, which is why you have to be your own leader. You have to be your own cheerleader, your own motivator. And that's kind of where leadership comes in, where you're a cheerleader to your team, but you're also an educator. You're teaching them the right things. You're able to show them the correct way of doing things. So Self-determinism is very important. Your own self-leadership is important. Leadership kind of goes into all areas, and it's going to advance your career to the next level. So let me dive into some leadership basics. Now, this is a rough sketch. Okay, it's not everything. And I'm still a lifelong student. But here's some things that you really want to start mulling over in your brain. Leadership basics. You have to lead yourself first, we talked about. Your team's going to respect you if you know what you're talking about, especially if you were, if say you want to be a director of cybersecurity. If you were a cybersecurity engineer first, they're going to respect you. You have to lead by example. You have to inspect what you expect. Okay? There's a common thing of lead by example. A good question to ask yourself, would you work with you? Right? Would you hire you? Ask those questions. Would you feel confident being led by yourself? Lead by example, lead from the front, be the person who's taking charge of the situation, and that your team has confidence in your abilities. Whatever you do, your team is going to copy. Whatever you do, your team's going to copy. So, I've seen certain business owners, they might be late to a meeting, or they're not interested in the meeting. Whatever you're doing, trust me, your team's going to copy that. Okay. So you should be the first one taking initiative. You should be the one organized. You should be the one giving feedback. You should be the one positive, enthusiastic meetings. You should, but also gaining everybody else's perspective before you make decisions. Communication. Make sure you're managing expectations with your team. They know exactly what the goalposts are. They know what is right, what's going to be kind of keep them in the spot they're in, versus what's going to get them promoted in their company. What is the next step for their career? How do you find out their motivation? But also the opposite of that. What is, damage control? What is the no-nos on the list in the company, right? Your team needs to have a clear path where they know what their growth is, what's going to keep them where they're at, as well as, hey, if you ever cross this line, we need to have a talk. If you cross this line again, you're out. So constant communication, managing expectations with your team. Okay. I wrote down communication to your team, but also communication and leadership. Being a leader means also giving the appropriate data, information to whoever's above you or leadership in a company so that they have the facts that they can be decisive. Okay. You don't need to give them a novel. You don't need to give them like broad strokes. And a lot of companies, and another key pillar, brevity, be brief, because everybody's got, not enough time in the day. Be brief, but stick to the facts. So when you're communicating to your team, it's about education, understanding, motivation, right? Leading them from the front. Communication and leadership, you're giving them the facts. You're giving them the details. You're giving them the thumbnail sketch of what's going on so they can be decisive. Okay? Preparation and training. Make sure that you're always fully prepared. There's a good organization tool called priority management. Strongly recommend looking at that. How should you train your team? There's a good way to do it where it's training by observation. Training by observation, meaning so if I'm training a new salesperson, for example, I have them observe me for the first 2 days fully. They're watching kind of like everything I'm doing. They're learning by osmosis. Then I break it up into segments. I explain to them first, this is the reason why we do certain things. Let me show you first. Great. Now you do it. And I'm going to see how you do. They might have messed up. Okay, no worries. Now, this is what I want you to tweak. And you keep fine tuning it. And then you drill and you drill and you drill in a nice way. You drill, there's a balance. So you drill in terms of they keep practicing the correct method. And then afterward, you're just basically letting them do it on their own. You're teaching them one step at a time. And you're only talking to them if they mess up, or you need to kind of do quality assurance and check in once a week, once a month, depending on the person. Another key of leadership, be aware of the metrics. Be aware of the metrics. Okay. Leadership, you don't need to know this when you're starting off in your career, but as soon as you start going up levels in a company, especially into the C-suite, you are looking at the metrics. The CEO and the CFO are in charge of the business metrics, right? What is the gross income, revenue, cost per whatever, cost per hire, cost per click, depending on what. But you're looking at certain key variables when you're starting out at a company, be aware of the metrics, and it's always going to make sure you shine if you know certain business metrics in your organization. If you're looking at sales, for example, what is my total sales for the week, the month, the year? What is the average sales of the industry? What is the average sales of the team? What is our conversion rate? How many follow-ups do we need to do to create a sale? All those little things, knowing the metrics is going to take you to the next level. Positivity. This is a no-brainer. But yeah, you need to have positivity in your organization. Positivity goes down the chain. Negativity and venting, things like that, come up the chain. I get so much venting from different people in organizations. That's fine, because sometimes you got to let it out. I get it. You have a bad day, you got to let it out. But your role as a leader is to be positive, is to inspire. You're only really cracking down if somebody's really crossed the line and you've had that talk before. Like, you've managed expectations. You told them, do not, you can't do this in a company, and they do it. That's the time where it's like, hey, we need to have that chat. Here's a reminder. But 95% of the time, you're that positive inspiration and being that point that people want to look up to. Building team synergy. Building team synergy. Do you know your team? Are you inspiring motivation? Do you know their motivation? You should always have a heart-to-heart meeting when you hire somebody new, and have that one-on-one time. And you ask them what is their motivation. Are they motivated by their compensation, or really the skill sets they're doing, or what they're bringing to the table, or the company culture? Find out how to motivation. Find out how you can increase it. Gathering data and feedback. Always had feedback loops in your entire organization. What it means is kind of know you have the systems so that when things happen, you can always ask, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? What can we do better? I do this in my day-to-day life all the time. What worked today? What can I do better? I do it in my relationship. I do it in work, where I'm looking at always constant optimization of processes. What is working right here? What is not working? How can we make it better? Ask your team, hey, guys, have a brainstorming session. What's working? What's not working? Big key of leadership, decisiveness. Be decisive. It doesn't mean rush to judgment. It means you're getting everybody's feedback. You're getting your perspective, all the data you're gathering, and then you're making a decision. And once you make the decision, you're committing to that path. So there's a lot of indecisive leaders. They're like, I need a little bit more time. We had one guy that took forever to hire somebody. It took like 6 weeks. By that time, the person didn't even want to join anymore. So you have to make a decision at one point. And when you make the decision, that's where you get everybody together and like, we're going down this track, and here's the reasons why. Praise when appropriate, but you're not afraid to reprimand. Good leaders, a lot of leaders shy away from reprimanding somebody. You always want to make praise specific, right to exactly what you're happy about them, but you are not afraid to confront. You're not afraid to reprimand at the appropriate time. Very, very important. You only reprimand also as long as you have that one-on-one heart-to-heart at the beginning of the relationship, where it's like, hey, here's this things that we love, here's the general stuff, and here's like the things that are going to get you into trouble. You don't really need a reprimand, because they're going to know where the goalposts are. They know the scope of things. So you only reprimand when like, hey, they crossed that line, and you can go back to it like, hey, we had this talk. You knew what was right and wrong. You knew that this was like kind of the gray zone is usually the negative zone. So always praise specific, make it public with your team, right? Give that recognition at the right times. All right, I'm a little low on my time today, so I gotta run. I hope that was helpful. That's just a little piece on just basic leadership skills that you can start using in your career. Hope that was helpful. You guys have a great weekend. Cheers.